you?
I'm great.
I'm very happy you're here.
I just met Fred Armisen backstage before the show started, and always been a huge fan of his, including a cover that he did of the Clash's cover, Police on My Back. It just blew my mind when I saw it on YouTube. So honored to be with you, Fred.
Yeah, so and this is a real thing about you, that you are a great lover of punk rock. You were in the 90s a punk rocker. Fair to say?
I'd like to think somewhere inside I still am.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think the punk rocker that is still inside you is surprised that you, the outside you, is running for president?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. But I'll tell you, this campaign at its best has a do-it-yourself ethic and spirit. We don't take a dime from a single political action committee or corporation or special interest or lobbyist. It's all people all the time, driving from one town to the next, showing up, telling our story, but listening to the stories of others, which was kind of like touring in a punk rock band in the 1990s, a little bit.
Yeah. Probably a nicer car situation.
Yeah. We were touring in we called it the lumber wagon. It was a station wagon with 4 guys, our amps, the drum kit, and maybe 1 change of clothes per person. And then on the road for the entire summer. But one of the best ways to spend that part of our lives, and it's still with me. It's still with me.
That's fantastic. I also want to ask, you were in Brooklyn last night doing an event. You used to live in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And is this a true story that you had a trampoline on your roof that you got from Busta Rhymes?
So...
And now again, by the way, I get that this is a thing that a lot of candidates have.
The answer is yes. So a roommate of ours, it was either Dylan or Stefan, was working on the set of a Busta Rhymes video. Somehow came home with the trampoline and then managed to assemble it on the roof of the building that we were living in on Wallabout Street in Williamsburg in 1996. And it doesn't sound like the safest thing in the world, but here we were jumping on a trampoline on the top of a building. Everyone survived.
I'm sure Busta Rhymes checked it to make sure it was safe.
Totally.
I mean, if you're going to get one that you can trust for safety, that's it.
Busta Rhymes every time.
I want to ask, because we're coming up next week, another round of these debates, 10 candidates, 2 different nights, and it does seem like one of the hardest parts is sort of differentiating yourself from other candidates with whom you share a lot, obviously. You ran against Ted Cruz in a Senate campaign. Do you ever miss how easy it was to be different from Ted Cruz?
Where is Ted Cruz when you need him?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what?
Very rarely uttered, and yet here we are,
You know, True. You know what was so great about that campaign in Texas, beyond getting a chance to run against Ted Cruz, was running in a state that had been taken for granted, really written off, ranked 50th in voter turnout. And in addition to getting to debate him, we went to every single one of the 254 counties in that state. So no matter how big or blue, we showed up because we didn't want to take you for granted. No matter how small or red or rural, we showed up there too because we didn't want to write you off. Some places had voted for Donald Trump, 96% in the 2016 election. One place, Archer County, that we went to, no candidate from Senate from either party had shown up in 70 years. When LBJ dropped out of the sky in a helicopter in 1948, landed on the courthouse grounds, and walked over to the American Legion Hall. It had been that long since anyone had shown up to listen to them. So that was what was so exciting. And at the end of the day, we turned out in record numbers, won more votes than any Democrat had in the history of the state of Texas. It was really an extraordinary election.
And you won a lot of, I think it was almost about 500,000 votes of people that voted for Greg Abbott, a Republican, who also voted for you. So, you know, this is, I think, one of the reasons why there was enthusiasm for the idea of you running is maybe you could connect people who don't agree usually with a Democratic candidate. Obviously, there's a scalability question with the United States versus, I mean, again, don't get me wrong, Texas is pretty impressive, but as far as size, but is that your plan here, is just to sort of get wheels down everywhere you can?
Absolutely. That's the consistent theme, from being on the road with the guys in the band 25 years ago, to being on the road across 254 counties of Texas, to this weekend being at the Diving Elk, a great bar in Sioux City, and taking questions from people who were there, introducing myself. and then going to Sioux Center, which is one of the most, if not the most, conservative places in the state of Iowa, and not writing anybody off and not asking, who did you vote for president last time, or what party do you belong to, or who do you pray to, or who do you love? No me importa. I do not care. Just tell me what's important to you right now. We're Americans first before we're anything else. And I got to tell you, in addition to showing up with the courage of our convictions and talking about what we want to see for America, I'm learning so much by listening to people about what's important to them in their lives. And they never ask about polling. They never ask about fundraising. They don't care about the horse race. They want to know how they're going to afford prescription medication or how we're going to get mental health care, not as a function of luck or fortune, but as a human right that every single American can depend on. And I think that's something that unites us across the differences that we have in this country right now.